Hi, it's Lisa with a Christmas card today. I am using Stampendous' Nativity Christmas set. We're going to be using this silhouetted design here with the wise men and then this greeting. You could use any stamp set for this that has that kind of look where you want to put it against a sky, either a daytime sky or a nighttime sky. That's the kind of the process we're going to be going through. Stampin' Up! Has a couple of sets that would work well for that in their current catalog, one with reindeer and I think one with trees. So any of those would work for this type of card. I've done this through a mock-up. I did get my star crooked, so I'm going to try to do a better job on this next one. We are using some crumb cake ink and some Midnight Muse ink. There's no pattern paper on this, and there's very little cardstock other than I've got some silver up here at the top, and we'll talk about that when we get a little bit further along. But I'm trying to keep a fairly flat card, a low-cost card, because I want to make a whole bunch of these. Now, to get us started, we're going to use our set with the design on it to create a little template that will, a mask really, that will cover up part of the area that we're going to be using a brayer to roll ink on. So you need a brayer, you need a light color ink and an ink for your sky, whether it's a lighter blue or darker blue or teal or whatever you want to use, or you could use multiple colors if you wanted to create a graduated sky there, and then a few other embellishments as we go along, and some embossing powder. Okay, I'm going to use the crumb cake software to create my mask. It doesn't really matter. Just need something to stamp my image on. And I'm working with notebook paper so that I have lines here because I want to line up my star so that it's nice and straight. So I'm lining it up on one of the lines. So now you can see I have my star lined up good there. And I want to cut the top off of this because I'm masking the bottom. So I'm just going to come along and I'm going to cut along the horizon line. Okay. So we'll set this aside. We're going to need that in a few moments, and we're going to go back to our crumb cake software and our brayer and a piece of white cardstock from Stampin' Up. Just going to ink up the brayer with crumb cake for my ground here, which will be like the desert. And I'm not worried about where the top comes because it's going to end up getting covered up. So in that case, I can actually go either direction. That's probably enough. All right, we'll set that aside. We're done with that. That cleaned off good. And now we're ready to put our mask down, and I want to make sure I have enough room down here to put my greeting and position this so that it's nice and straight. Looks good and straight to me. Okay, and we're going to use some washi tape to hold all this down. We'll put washi tape over here to hold the white paper, the notebook paper down, and we need another piece of washi to hold the underneath side down because we don't want it to move as we're using the brayer. Flip it around. Take the Midnight Muse or whatever color for the sky that you want to use. Ink up your brayer good. And start bringing that color onto your paper. And some of it's going to overlay the brown, and that's going to be fine since it's a darker color. Now you can mask both the top and the bottom if you need to keep a real definition, but since I'm using a much darker color on the top, I just needed to mask off the bottom so that it doesn't end up with any blue on it. Okay. There we go. Now, And we'll save our mask, and I can use that for other cards. Just use it over and over again. And then one thing about that blue ink is sometimes you get it on your fingers. I don't want to get it on my card. Ah, that was good. Tore the bottom of my card. Let's see if we can salvage it. Oh no. Well, let's see. Close, 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 close. I think I can salvage this. I think I can salvage this because I'm going to be adding some more ink to it. A little bit of glue. I'm going to be adding some more ink in a little bit, so I think we can salvage the bottom of that. Now, what we're ready to do then is make sure this is good and dry, and then we're going to do some embossing right over the top of this design. Okay. All right. So let's take our embossing powder, our embossing buddy. Go over that. I have some Versamark ink, my design, and I'm going to be using some silver embossing powder from Stampin' Up. You wouldn't have to emboss if you used a light color for the top. You could go over with a black or another dark ink. The silver is going to look really pretty on here. So now I'm kind of lining up my design, and I'll have to get my head in the way, sorry. Okay. Sprinkle this with some silver. Make sure I got enough there. There's our pretty design. Let's see, I need a little bit more. Okay, so there we've got our pretty design, and now ready to finish up the card. This is a pretty quick card. If you're doing a whole bunch of these, I would recommend doing all of, once you get one like you like, doing all of the light colors. The area that you're not going to mask, do all the light colors, and then clean your brayer, and then move on to your dark colors. Because if you do if you move back and forth, you have to clean the brayer a lot, and you probably don't want to have to mess with that. Okay, so this, I'm going to go ahead and do out of Midnight Muse. This is one of the new ink pads from Stampin' Up! They converted to a few years ago, and they stamp really great. Okay. Alright, now I'd like to add a little bit more definition around here on the bottom. That's where I say there's going to be some ink down there, so I wasn't too worried about my tear. Taking the crumb cake and a sponge, and oops, that's really show. We may have to just take that off altogether and ink over it. I think I might have to. Yeah. Sorry, this is not turning out to be the perfect card, but I'm going to see some ways to do it. Oh, gosh, it's tearing even more. We're getting a rustic look to our card. Okay. I'm not sure if this will end up being one of the finished cards, but you'll get the idea of how this one works since I'm filming. All right, now, then the last thing we want to do is to add this little top and some trim and still try to keep this fairly flat. So I have some silver cardstock. This is also Stampin' Up, but they have discontinued the silver paper. I didn't realize that until recently, and I was so disappointed because I love the silver and gold, but there are other places that you can get gold and silver kinds of cardstocks, and they do still have a gold foil in their catalog. So, and it doesn't have to be silver or gold, you just need some cardstock for the top. So I'm using this pretty sort of Baroque look punch that not only punches but embosses as it goes. Okay, works very well with that type of paper. And this is going to make like a little canopy for the top of my card. And I've got this one a little small. I think I'll trim my card down just a little bit so that all this fits. I may have cut the white paper a little wide, I don't know. But I want to trim this down a little bit anyway because it's going to all fit on this crumb cake cardstock. So I'm going to trim the card down. If I do trimming like this, I usually wait until I've finished with everything because otherwise, you know, I may have gotten my design a little too far one side or the other, so the trimming can help me correct problems as we go along. All right, I'm just adding some dimensional adhesive. Now, I kind of purposely left a little bit of room in there because what I want to do is take my hole punch and some twine. This is Lawn Fawn Trimmings. And through all the layers there. And what we're doing is we're going around the front, through the back, and we're bringing our trim through the hole. And we're just going to tie that in a knot. And this will let that knot kind of rest down in the hole a little bit so it doesn't make for quite such a thick card. So now we just want to glue all this together. On the sides, and there is our somewhat less than perfect Christmas card. But still pretty, even with a little bit of indiscretion. So I'm getting closer to what I want my cards to be. I like the border on this one. I like the border, but I didn't like the fact that I tore it with the washi tape. I'll have to use some different washi there. Okay. All right, and that's our card. So thanks for watching today, and I hope if you're making your Christmas cards, they go nice and smoothly. What I like to do with mine is kind of work out what I'm doing on a weekend, and then I can do the process steps during the week. So I can come up here and do all of the Brayered backgrounds, and then I can do all of the embossing another night, and sort of by the end of the week, you know, have a whole bunch of cards assembled, and it's great. Then they're all done. So thank you so much for joining me, and if you like the video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, if you would like to subscribe, that would be wonderful. I do have lots of scrapbooking videos, occasionally card making videos, and I'm starting doing a lot of art journaling as well. Thanks so much. Bye.